either in the chat and or on the your sign-in. Let's see.
Yeah.
Morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me online?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. We're just waiting for the 10 o'clock hour. Those individuals that are coming on now, just as you get your name up there, can you also put your organization that you are representing, added that to your name, so that way we can get that recorded. A lot of you guys we know, but some of them we don't. So please feel free to add your organization so that we can get that recorded. To get started, I have a technical question. If I share my screen, I'm curious as to what you're going to be. Oh, maybe that's the way to do it. Let's share screen 2. There we go. There. Everyone should be able to see the PowerPoint presentation. Correct?
Yep, I can see it.
Yes.
All right.
I
Great.
can see it.
So that way you know you're at the right place. I mean, so bad thing is now I can't see the time or the date that's on this PowerPoint going. So we got 9:59. All right. I'm going to stop sharing for a second so that way I can see who all's in the room. All right. It is now 10 a.m. on October 9th, 2025. Thanks everyone for coming. My name is Chris Snyder. I'm the City of Salem Staff Liaison for the Cultural Tourism Promotion Advisory Board, who is the volunteer organization for the city that recommends grant opportunities and funding for culture and heritage organizations putting on events and operating within the city. And as we let more people into the room here, it looks like everybody's online today. It's just Kelly and I here at the city collaboration room. So we'll go ahead and get started. Kelly, you can see everybody on the participants' names, right?
Yes.
Okay, so when I go to share my screen, I'm not going to have any visibility to that, so I'll let you do the technical.
One more time, if you don't mind, to add your organization to your name or in the chat so we can make sure that your organization gets credit that you were here.
Yeah. So Chris Darcy, Genoa Ingram, Jason Unruh. Of course, we know who you guys are. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start sharing. the PowerPoint presentation. So I have a short PowerPoint presentation, should take maybe half an hour, 45 minutes or so to go through and then provide a overview of everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, we got more people coming.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hey.
You should have started at 10:15.
10:15. I mean, we should have started at 9:45 and started at 10.
Yeah, no, well, because everyone was standing out there.
That's true. The doors, well, they open at 10.
Yeah, do I have to sit at the big table?
Yes, your name's there.
I have to sit, can I sit across from
You can sit wherever you want.
Although I don't want. And I'm sitting at the.
Bear with us, everyone online, as we get
Yeah.
the doors to the library just opened up at 10 a.m. So folks are now joining us in person. So we'll give them a couple minutes to get started, situated.
If you come online, please add your organization to your name or put it in the chat. Chris and Amador,
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, there's a second sign in, so there's 2 spots. I know.
They've got the best seat in the house.
I know. I'm like, where can I sit and not show up on camera? And not have my back to people.
Prince,
Hey, Sally.
good to see you in person.
Yeah.
Morning.
Morning. Give everybody a second to get settled in. While we're kind of waiting, is there any events happening this weekend? Anybody wants to share?
Hi.
Hi.
Good morning, this is Amador. So I just want to announce that there is a event that we are running with the partnership or collaboration with the Salem Multicultural Institute that is about the Guelaguetza gallery. So we are explaining through the costumes and some photos and explanation about the Guelaguetza tradition, how this concept of Oaxaca is impacting the community. So it's the history about Oaxaca, but also a tradition from Oaxaca. So it's at the Salem Multicultural Institute from 95, I think, and the galleries run until October 24.
Oh, well, thank you.
And also, we're going to have the Hispanic Heritage Month closing celebration in October 25th from 4 to 9. Thanks.
And where will that be held?
Excuse me?
Amador, where's the celebration on the 24th, you said? Where's that going to be held?
The 25th.
25th.
The 25th. It's going to be East Salem Community Center.
Okay.
So this is the history of 25 years trying to bring another concept of a event project in which we try to connect with the members of different communities, but also to give the opportunity for children and talented children and groups of people to have a stage, a formal stage, and have a performance over there.
Great. Sounds like an excellent opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else have any quick events happening this weekend? Winter?
Hey, Cindy Condon from Quiltopia and Helping Hands Resources. We, in conjunction with Quiltopia, there is an exhibit at the Grand Hotel called the Grand Showcase, Smaller by Design, and it's art quilts in the lobby, and people can vote for their favorite quilt, and it's really the kickoff for Quiltopia, which will be November 7th and 8th.
It's great. And that'll be held where?
At Willamette Heritage Center,
Heritage Center.
November 7th and 8th. Thank you for saying that.
Sally?
Sally Litchfield with the Elsinore. This Sunday at 2 p.m. we are presenting Menopause the Musical 2.
Yes.
I'll elaborate on Amador's times at our gallery at the Salem Multicultural Institute Worldview Gallery. 10 to 5, Tuesday through Friday, we're open. Otherwise, by appointment, we'd be happy to accommodate you if you can't make those hours. But it's a beautiful exhibit, and it's absolutely fantastic. All these dresses that the Oaxacan people wear, and come down and see. We've got a video going showing the dances also. So it's a really beautiful exhibit.
Thank you. All right. Let's see, I see Kim Otis with her hand up.
Hi there, this is Kim Ositis from the Oregon Symphony in Salem, and our 25-26 season starts up on Friday, October 31st. Yes, it is Halloween. 7:30 at Smith Auditorium with 7 Deadly Sins featuring Storm Large. So we're excited for that coming up.
Anyone else?
Yes, Chris. This is Genoa Ingram, Oregon State Capitol Foundation. This Saturday, October 11th, is Hispanic Heritage Day at the Capitol. The Capitol doors will open at 10 o'clock. There will be dances and discussions about Hispanic history. And I believe that goes until 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
So, all right. Any other announcements? Or it's a little unusual, but we're able to make sure we got everybody here and go ahead and get started with everyone on the same page. Taylor posted something in the chat about Salem Reads book announcement, Remarkably Bright Futures. So, can you see the chat?
Yeah.
All right. With that, we'll go ahead and get started. I'd like to thank everybody for attending, especially in person. It's always nicer to have some other people here. And then we've got, what is that, 20 folks online. So thanks everybody for coming out for this TOT grant orientation for the next year. So I have a PowerPoint presentation that we'll go through. We'll go through an example of what the actual changes are in the grant applications this year, and an example of what the event grant will look like. So we'll go ahead and just kind of dive right into that. So you're here, hopefully in the right place for the Culture and Tourism Promotion Advisory Board, or CTPAB, or TOT board for short. This is their pre-application meeting for the Transient Occupancy Tax Funds tax grants. And this is the second meeting. The first one was held on Tuesday night, October 7th. Same place almost, or across the hall here, the library. And that is also pushed out onto YouTube as well as this one will be. But just kind of give a little bit of history about what the Culture and Tourism Promotion Advisory Board does. They are a voluntary organization established by City Council. We have 9 board members that are volunteers, and they are tasked with the assignment of trying to encourage a unified approach to tourism in the city of Salem. And one of the ways they do that are through the review and granting or review and promotion of events with the funding. And so every year we go through the process where we have grant funding cycle. October is the time when we do the orientations to let everyone know what the changes are to the application itself, whether that's questions, whether that's formatting, whether that's whatever the case may be, reporting. And then the one of the pieces that I'll get to later, but I'll show you on the city's website where that's located. So that way you have access. These forms are an online form for submitting. These funds are available from the transient occupancy tax that is collected and paid through the city. In the city of Salem, if you stay at one of the hotels or motels, there's an overnight tax. It's 9% comes to the city, 1.5% goes to the state. And if you're in the hotels downtown, there's an additional tourism promotion area fee of 2% on top of that. But that goes off to a different fund and is used by our destination marketing organization, Travel Salem, for broader promotions and marketing. The city of Salem has been collecting, you get Kathleen in there, Kelly? The city of Salem has been collecting the transient occupancy tax since 1974. If anybody wants to do quick math, that's 51 years. Not that I know anything about that. But the Salem Charter, City Charter, Section 56 is what was established by a vote of the people, all the citizens. And that there's four main things that the money is to be used for. First off, it's for enhancement and entranceways to the city of Salem, urban beautification generally, improvements to or operation of major tourist attractions or cultural facilities, and then activities that promote using Salem for conventions, conferences, or general tourism. The first piece is kind of the enhancement entranceways. So there's like welcome to Salem signs and stuff like that from time to time you may have heard about the one that's over by Kaiser, between the city of Salem and Kaiser, that somehow has a magnet attraction to cars. It gets refreshed from time to time. So some things like those kind of things. The urban beautification is typically going to be for our larger touristy related parks, Riverfront Park being one of the major parks, Minto Island Brown being another park, and Bush Park. So we provide funding to our parks management staff to take and keep those parks up and in shape for tourism, basically, for whenever we have big events and stuff like that, to help keep those lawns looking nice and green and pristine. Improvements and operation of major tourist attractions or cultural facilities. We have 9 facility operators in the city. Typical places you would think of: AC Gilbert's, Riverfront Carousel, Bush Park or Bush House, Deepwood, Willamette Heritage Center. Let's see, the Hallie Ford Museum of Art, Elsinore Theater, Salem Multicultural Institute are all locations that are considered major tourist attractions or cultural facilities. And so they receive a portion of the funding of these grants to help with their operations, their annual operations. And then everyone else that puts on an event, whether that's World Beat Festival or Hoopla or Inglewood Forest Festival or orchestra or choral performances, those kind of things, theater stuff like that, that happens in our within our Salem city limits. They can receive funding for those events that they put on. This year's applications, the time frame is going to be from July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2027. That correlates with the city's budget process and funding availability. So July 1st is when funds will be technically available for the events to take place. So the events that you're going to be putting on should happen or occur between July 1st, 2026 and June 30th, 2027. We currently have 3 types of grants. The first one is for facility operations. That's the 9 facility operators that we currently have. Second to that is the capital improvement or asset projects. Those are typically for those cultural heritage locations for lighting, fixtures, flooring. We did helped with a portion of the entranceway to the Elsinore Theater recently, signage, HVAC systems over at the Lyman Heritage Center, those kind of things. And then special events and projects. Let's see. As I mentioned a little bit briefly, these are online applications. I always ask you to start with a budget sheet first, build your budget, and then talk about it, because you'll be asked for some of that information. And we'll get into that a little bit later when we actually go through the actual application and review that, so that way you can see what that looks like. Since they're an online application, there's actually a way for you to go ahead and save your progress if you need to come back to it. And I'll show you how to do that. Translation, I found that Google Chrome is probably the best one. If you have another language that you prefer reading your application in, whether that's Spanish or Portuguese or Dutch, I found that Google Chrome is probably the easiest way to be able to do that. I had no problem working with the Dutch language on it. There's supposed to be a low vision mode on it too. It's through the forms. I had found that a few years back, but I haven't used it since, even though my eyesight is not getting as better. So what's new? For facility operator grants, nothing new. So same form, same questions. Well, I'll take that back. It's not totally nothing new. All the grants are being consolidated. The space available for questions, for answering the questions has shrunk from 7,500 caricatures down to 3,500. So you'll need to be a little more concise and more concise with your wording and presentation of the information that you're providing. Mainly that's to help our board members be able to read through all 55 applications that they receive in a timely manner and not get too fatigued. For capital improvement grants, the only change there is we are allowing 2 quotes as the requirement instead of 3 for the capital improvement projects that you're working on. That's sometimes a little easier. Sally, you have a question?
Yes, I'm just curious, how many of the board members will be going through this process for the first or second time?
Great question. Yeah, there's 4.
Or first time?
4 for the first time.
Okay,
Yep. And there's 2 that'll be going through for the second time.
okay, thank you.
So out of the 9, there's 6 right there.
Yeah.
I'll be going through for the 4th time on this side of it.
On that side of it. We're not counting the 10 years before. What's new really happens with the event grants. So now you'll see when we get to the application itself, you'll see that there's a recommended funding request dollar amount for events that's tied to the number of anticipated attendance. When we get to it, you'll see this is what's being recommended. So if you have 500 or less attendees, the recommendation is to request only 5,000 or less. The maximum amount is $10,000, but that's usually reserved for larger events that have a lot more cost associated with putting on the event. Any questions? Yes.
So I'm new to this whole process. So if the attendance, I mean, COVID obviously had some impact on attendance. And if the budget, like you said, to have your budget done, focuses on marketing and you expect a higher attendance because of your marketing promotion, do you go with what you've had in the past or what you're projecting for the future?
Great question. Thank you. I'll nuance that a little bit.
Okay.
One of the new questions that was added was to provide your past attendance that you've had, so you know so if you're doing the same event and you're promoting the same event, there's question number 16 if it's a project and number 18 if it's an event. Where in the narrative we ask you to provide your attendance that you had last year, and if you received TOT funding, how much was the funding for last year? So include that information. And then that'll go back to what your planning on doing and how much, and if you plan on having additional attendance based on spending more on marketing, then you'll need to provide that kind of narrative and definition in the write-up.
Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt. We need to get some supplies out of our closet. I'm sorry about
Yep.
that.
Oh, come on in, Rachel. All right.
Just to clarify, the attendance, passport attendance is only for 1 year, not worth that, or
If you have more years, you can, if you want to provide a historical piece, like, 2025, we have the X amount of folks. In 24, we have this amount. That kind of information is helpful for the board members as they do the review.
Great.
Does
But the
it,
budget should be, should reflect
Like
anticipated for
Right.
the current grant cycle.
yeah,
Okay.
thank you, Sally, yes.
Mhm.
Along with that, you talked about marketing, and how much you're spending on marketing. A new requirement this year for the events is to, so requiring 25% of the TOT grant dollar amount be spent towards marketing and promotion. And we've got a new page in the grant manual, that I'll share with you shortly. Those of you that are here in the room should be able to pick up that. It's, you guys on camera can't see it, but it's the big, thick, multi-page piece with all the yellow and red on it. And that grant manual is kind of like a handy guide helping out individuals or organizations on how to fill out the grant contracts, or the applications. Inside that grant manual, you actually have all the actual questions that are on the application, depending on which application you're using, whether it's the facility operator or the capital improvement or the special events. Those questions are all listed in there. So you can see that ahead of time before you jump into the actual online form. But that, just to go back to that 25%, so there's actually a chart in the grant manual. So like, so if you ask for a $3,000 grant, then we expect you to spend 25% of that $3,000 on marketing and promotions, and that would equate to $750. And then 25%. So if it's a $10,000 grant, it's $2,500 on marketing.
What page is that, Chris?
That is page 4, underneath the requirements for an event grant app. It's pretty straightforward. I think most organizations, and when they can spend 25% of their, they probably spend a little bit more than that on their promotions. It's just that we don't always see the final report. We don't always get a copy of all the marketing and promotions that they spent money on, asking for the reimbursement too. Are there any other questions? I can't see or see any hands online. So if you do have any questions online, feel free to either raise your hand or say something so I can get a verbal on that.
sorry, just to clarify, so it's required 25% or more.
Yeah.
Right, you don't, it'd be better, yeah.
More marketing is
Yeah,
supposed to be better
okay.
in theory, not always, I don't know.
Perfect.
But yeah, we're just asking that when you do your final report, you provide at least 25% of your TOT grant monies as spent on marketing.
Chris, Rowan, Craig, Capital Pride has a question.
Yes, Ron, go ahead.
So for people who are on Zoom, where can we access the grant manual you were talking about?
Great question. That is actually on the grant webpage on the city's webpage, and I will I'll go ahead and share that out with everybody. I'll also, when I get done with the slide presentation, I'll actually take and go out to the webpage so that way you can get a visual on what that looks like, and you can record the web address for that.
Okay.
But I will also plan on sending that out in an email to all the organizations that have attended the orientations.
All right.
Thank you. Anybody else with a question online? Okay. As we also talked about on the past attendance, you have to report your past attendance and any TOT grant funding on the event applications. Question number 16, if you're doing a project grant versus number 18 for an event grant, and it's under the past performance question when you provide that detail. And you'll see that it's highlighted in yellow and red on the application, so it'll stand out to you.
I just put the link in the chat.
Oh, you did? Great. Thanks, Kelly. Kelly says that she put out the link to the website where those grant online forms are at, as well as the grant manual. One of the qualifying criteria for all the applicants is that you need to be a 501c3, C4, or C6 nonprofit organization with an IRS letter that's attached at the end of the application. If you don't have the nonprofit status, there's a small grant for up to $2,000 that you can use for marketing and promotion of your event. And it's kind of like a seed money type of structure for that. It's the same application, same questions, but if you don't have the nonprofit status, then you can apply for the $2,000.
Question, Chris. If you have Oregon State recognition for nonprofit, but you don't have your federal yet, what's the situation?
Well, that's a great question. We have typically stayed with the IRS letter.
Okay. What if you've applied?
I have no idea how long it takes.
Well, currently, I don't know that anyone is getting.
Oh, are you referencing some national-wide event that's currently occurring? I have no idea what that is.
If the application has been made.
If you can plead your case to the Culture and Tourism Promotion Advisory Body.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Let's see. Going back to the qualifications, submitting applications that meet funding eligibility under the city charter. So there's a question about, I think most of the people that are going to be applying, at least for events, you know that it's for general tourism that you're using that for, where your qualification is underneath that. Applicants don't have to have their primary business in Salem, but the funds and the money should be spent on an event that occurs within city limits. So that's kind of the limitation on the TOT grant funding, is that the event has to take place within city limits.
It's actually City of Salem, like even Marion County.
Yeah, even, yep.
Actual map, City of Salem.
It has to be within city boundaries. Let's see. For one of the other questions I was going to ask is, how many folks here are brand new to this process? Got 3 in the room today. How about online? How many people we got out there that are brand new?
There's definitely some newbies.
All right, good. I'm kind of breeze through the facility operator stuff since nothing really changed. Facility operators know who you are. So basically, facility operator grants are available to organizations that are considered a major tourist attraction, and they have a building, a structure. 2 examples that you see obviously are posted up here as AC Gilbert's and Willamette Heritage Center. And basically you're part of the 9 organizations that are currently receiving funding and applying. If there's a new organization that you're wishing to apply, you'll need to provide information, an email or something like that to city staff the year before you apply, so in June, so that way we have some advance notice of that intent. And there's other qualifications as far as having already received TOT grants for the past 3 years. So you have some history with using TOT funding. Other than that, facility operators have some other requirements based on the number of patrons they have for annual attendance, their operating, how long, providing services for 12 months out of the year, spending 3% of their budget on marketing, and having space and or performances. They get to apply for 3 grants. Typically, they do their facility operator grant, and then they can choose either 2 events or an event and a capital improvement project. So we'll kind of skip over the capital improvement projects. You know what those are, unless a facility operator has a question about a facility capital improvement project that they want to put forward. Michelle was at last meeting, so I don't think I'll get any today, right? Sally?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. So most people are here for the special events. That's our biggest application pool. So a special event is considered a performance, a conference, convention, or gathering that enhances the quality of life for Salem residents and would normally draw tourists to Salem. A project is the other option that you can choose, and that's going to be like a marketing campaign, a social media and video, web redesign, or collaborative programming with other tourism organizations in the city. So those are options for a project and what that would be. For the special events, you need to be a nonprofit organization, and you're allowed to apply for up to 2 grants per year. If you don't have that nonprofit or that recognition with the IRS, then you are allowed to apply for a $2,000 grant. And one of the other pieces of the primary focus for your event should not be fundraising. It should be in general, you're wanting to improve the quality of life for our residents and put on a great event that draws people here and showcases your event. Important reminders for those that don't have the nonprofit status, you only get 1 grant to apply for up to $2,000. And then we will want to see the receipts as a reimbursement. All these grants are reimbursement grants. So that means you actually have to spend the money first and then submit a report after the event's taken place and provide copies of the invoices and costs that you're asking for reimbursement, up to or in excess of whatever the TOT grant award is. So if that's $5,000, then you need to spend $5,000 and provide the receipts for that $5,000. Events must be within city limits. We've talked about that briefly. We've talked about they have to occur between July 1st, 2026 and June 30th, 2027. So that is a little ways out, a good like 9 months almost. So it takes a lot of planning. And a lot of things can happen between now and then, and we understand that. If something does happen where you need to change a date or a venue or a location, and you've been awarded a TOT grant, just let staff know, me, Kelly, send us an email or whatever, and we'll notify the board of the changes and make sure that they're okay with any of those changes. It does happen. Doesn't happen often, but it does happen. And we're willing to work with you on that. Generally, so they are an online reporting system and an online application. The applications are now live, so you guys can start filling those out and getting them submitted early. And then once that event is completed, then there's a report, and usually you have 60 days normally to provide the report on your event after it's taken place. If you have an event that takes place in June, our city's fiscal timeframe ends June 30th, and we have a very tight window at that point in time. So you may receive several emails from staff saying, "Hey, how'd that event go? Can you get your report in as quickly as possible so we can get the check out to you and be able to close up the city's books and have everything nicely tied up in a nice bow for the end of the year for the city." And the applications will be due November 17th, 2025 by midnight. Because it's an online form, I receive the emails once those are completed, and they'll be timestamped. So I don't have to really do anything about it, but I encourage you to get it done beforehand. And then typically what will happen is that after I receive them, I'll go through them and just kind of do a visual check to make sure that the questions are answered, that there's nothing really missing. And then if there is something missing, if you've gotten it in early, I've got enough time before the 17th to send an email back to you and say, hey, I noticed you didn't answer this question, or I noticed you didn't have this piece of your budget or something like that. If there's anything missing, I can provide that feedback before the cutoff time frame. But after the 17th, if there's anything missing, that's how it's going to be sent on to the board for the review. We just do a technical review to make sure that we've got how many we've gotten, and then align them up for getting ready for the next meetings. The Cultural Tourism Promotion Advisory Board will then have their normal monthly meetings, December 18th, January 15th, and February 19th. Those are the third Thursdays of each month is when they are typically meeting nowadays. It's from 6 p.m. start time until whatever time they get done. Usually that's before 8 p.m. On those evenings, they're open to the public, so anybody can come and join in and listen to the conversations going on. The December meeting will typically be a review of all of the facility operator grants that were received. In years past, I've done their facility operator grant, capital improvement grants, and sometimes their event grants they're doing, and sometimes not. It just depends on how much time we have available. The January and February meetings will be for all the events that have been submitted, and we'll kind of split that. Usually there's about 30 to 32 events applications that we receive, so we split that in half, about 15 to 16 applications. I will always have a agenda outlining which organizations are being discussed and which application discussed in the agenda packet leading up to those dates, and they are posted online 48 hours ahead of time. And since if your organization is applying, you'll also receive an email. We'll put you in our monthly email list to notify you of the meetings when they're happening, and also to let you know which organizations are going to be reviewed on those days. After the February 19th meeting, the board is required to submit their scores to me, and then I will take all 9 of those scores, compile them, and find the average score, and then be ready for the March 19th meeting. And at the March 19th meeting, they will get to make their final recommendations for funding based on how the scores came out and what the city manager's budget is for the TOT grant events. So for those of you that are brand new, if there's an important date to attend or to listen to afterwards on YouTube, it would be the March 19th if you wanted to know, is my event being recommended for funding? And that would be the date that you'll find out about that. Then what happens in the process is the board is an advisory board to city council. And so these are part of the budget proposals, and all the applications that are being recommended for funding will go through the city's budget process, and they'll go to the budget committee that'll meet towards the end of April and first week of May. And typically there's usually not a lot of discussion at that level. Pretty much whatever the board recommends, the city council and the budget committee usually approve as is. And then when city council meets in June, they will adopt the budget for July 1st. And once that July 1st adoption is in place, that's when we can officially say, yes, the funding is ready and available, and we'll send out an award letter and a contract. And we typically do that with a PDF and send it out to your email. So
we'll let everyone know via email that they have been selected for a grant and the proposed amount, but it's not approved by the council until that July 1st date. But you'll at least know that you were selected for the grant, like right after that March 19th.
So Any questions? Yes.
Sorry, and I may have missed this. So is it, somebody told me there was a requirement to attend the meetings. Are those a board review, the December 18th, January 15th, and February 19th?
So in the past, the board has required organizations that applied to attend the December, January, and February meeting, depending on which meeting their application was going to be reviewed.
Okay, so no, you don't have to do all of them, but
No,
just one, okay,
That's in the past.
okay.
They are not requiring, as of last year, they don't require the organization to be there for the review. It was just, you had to be here for the orientation.
Oh, okay.
And same thing for this year, you only have to be here for the orientation. So you're not required to attend either the January or the February, but it's an opportunity for you and your organization to get to know other folks and other organizations. So it's a good chance to hear that. And then you get to hear the discussion from the board members of what they're looking at and thinking about as they go through your application.
Yeah, just to follow up to that. And I guess I presume that there might be questions from if the board has questions, are they asking questions of the applicants there?
In the past they had, but now they are not. They're going strictly on what's been provided in the application now. So everybody has the same level playing field. Whatever's submitted is what they have to judge off of or score off of.
If you're there to hear the review, you can hear conversation about their feedback about your application, and they're not gonna ask you a clarifying question that changes how they grade,
How they
but
grade or score.
you would learn what their questions were and, what their concerns or feedback was. So it's
helpful for
recommended.
future.
It's helpful for the
Yeah.
future, yeah.
And
So,
no, I understand that. It's just if they had a question and you weren't there.
In the past.
in the
that
past,
would
that was
be
an
problematic.
issue.
That would be.
Yeah.
In the past, that was an issue. That's why it was required back then.
Yeah.
Now they're just gonna go off what's on the application. So you're not required to attend, but if you're interested in hearing what they're talking about and learning, you want to learn hey, why didn't I get that higher score? Then sometimes there's discussion about it that they've had, that you can learn something, or you can always ask city staff to go back and say, hey, this organization would like some feedback about why they didn't receive funding. That happens.
And those are on YouTube, or the recordings of those meetings are available.
Those are available on YouTube.
Thank you.
Yep. Let's see. Any other questions? Here's my contact information for those of you who want to ask future questions. So cnider@cityofsalem.net, and my phone number is 540-2361. So I'll leave that up for a second if anybody wants to write that down or have that for any of the new organizations. And then we'll go ahead and stop share. Let's see, I need to, actually I can come back here. I can keep sharing. Oops. All right, let's see. Now, let's go ahead and go out. Let me take you out to the web page where the applications are found. I'm gonna share my screen so everybody can see that. Trying to figure out which is the best way for people online to be able to see. So this is our internal page. Slide that up. Bear with me for a second. There we go. All right. City of Salem's webpage. Government. We have boards and commissions. Culture and Tourism Promotion Advisory Board underneath the boards. And here is the webpage for the Cultural Tourism Promotion Advisory Board. This page is where you'll actually find the reporting side of things and more information about what the board does, as well as the meetings and agendas are all listed in here. So you'll be able to find those here from past meetings or the future one coming up, depending on what you're looking for. And then the grant reporting forms are all located right here for the event grants. And here's a list of our current board members. But from here, I've actually got a link in here for grants of promotion. And this should be the page that you guys are kind of looking at, seeing information about the grants and the requirements related to applying. But down at the bottom, after you get past today's orientations stuff, are the actual application forms. And there are several little pieces to them. Facility operators, you know about the budget sheet and the audit sheet and the capital improvement assets budget sheet. For everyone that's a nonprofit organization, here's where you find the application for applying online. There's a link that'll take you to the online form. And then right next to it where it says event grant budget sheet is a link that'll take you to the Word document, or sorry, the Excel document for putting your budget together. For those that don't have the nonprofit status, you'd be using the non-501c organization application. And you're limited to one application and up to $2,000 for marketing. And it's the same budget sheet that you can use. We'll go ahead and start with this one here. So right here, this is what the application looks like online. You see it's has the 26-27 fiscal year, which is July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2027 was what those stand for. And then you can fill out the application in red. So this is new. This is the recommended funding level. If you have an event attendance of up to 500, recommended funding level is 5,000 or less. For 501 to 3,000 is $6,000. From 3,000 to 6,000 folks coming into attendance, 8,000, and then 6,000 and above, up to $10,000. And then here's where you'd fill that in as to what dollar amount you're requesting for your application. Any questions at this point in time? Okay. Answer the question. If you're $2,000 or more, you're going to be a large grant. Let's see if I have. Let's see. I want to put on. $2026. So we'll just pretend that we're going to do an event for a disc golf tournament. I don't know why. It sounds like fun. We're going to expect to have at least 500 folks show up, whether that's attendees or whether that's something else. If possible, go ahead and use the dollar amount and the dollar sign and the commas for that, all the numbers that you put in, if it's a dollar piece. This form doesn't it'll take whatever you put in. So if there's no comma, then there's no comma, but we'll assume that you're expected to have one in there. We'll say it's City of Salem as the nonprofit, tax ID 0123456789. Real generic. Your name, contact title, Jack of all trades, master of none. Mailing address, 555 Liberty. Southeast. Salem, Oregon. 7306. Web address if you have one, Facebook if you have one, TikTok, whatever. Make sure to put in. And then make sure you give us a valid email address, because that is how we will be contacting you.
Website has a question.
Yes, Kim.
So for the project grant, that also is based on event attendance?
Great question. A project, depends on what your project is, whether or not you can account for attendance. If you're doing a project, so typically it would be, maybe it's a video, promotional video, or it's a social media campaign or something like that, marketing related. So then, yeah, great question. How would you attend? How would you use the number of hits with the number of likes? Yeah, great question. I don't think that the board is really
Okay, and
solidified
then
that.
also like for us, our season and a number of other orgs, the season is multiple events. And let's say your project is around marketing the whole thing. Would you add up your total amount of attendance for your whole season?
So, yeah, if you're doing a single application, single grant for a season of concerts or performances, then yes, you could add your attendance based on the whole season.
Okay, thank you.
If it's for a single event or a single performance, then you just use that single performance attendance. All right, once you get past the first page, then there is a spot up here where it says save and continue later. So you would be able to put in your email address twice and then save it. And then what happens is the online form will send you a link in the email that you provided, and you can come back and pick up where you left off. So if you got distracted or something else happened in between, you didn't know what the answer was to the question and need more time to go ahead and research it, then you can save it and come back to it.
What is the name of the notification email? Like,
it'll be Survey Gizmo.
okay.
Is the Survey Gizmo is kind of like the email response piece. The other, they're actually the one by Alchemer is the company.
I think the email comes from Alchemer.
Test it here. Let's see. Yep, Alchemer. So that's what it looks like when it comes back. And then you would go ahead and click on the form. It'll take you back to where you're at.
Does it have the name of the project? Like if you're working on 3 different grants and say differently?
Wow, you're trying to get real. No, it doesn't.
No. Okay.
No, you'll have to do one at a time.
Just
Don't try to do,
open it and-
don't multitask and try and do all 3 of them at the same time, please. All right.
Welcome to my life.
Good problem to be able to do 3.
So with that going on, let's take a look. Let's see. Where was it? I didn't necessarily want to go ahead and fill out everything on this at this time, but I do have an example of what it looks like when we get to the end. So we'll go ahead and push forward. So once you've completed that application, it'll get emailed to me, and a copy of it will go to the email address that you provided. And this is what you'll have. You'll have an email with a PDF, and this is the PDF report that is going to be reviewed by the board members. So see all the contact information, and then 3,500 maximum words. That's what this looks like. It's about 2.5, 3 paragraphs, a good 3 paragraphs worth of information, maybe 4. When you put in the date, you don't have to put day, but we would really like to know, the date very well. So December 31st, 2025. Anybody knows what's wrong with that date?
25 is not for the current grant cycle.
Correct. That date does not fall within the July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2027. So that would be kind of a red flag in the technical review. Say, oh, looks like you got this date. It may not be the right time. That would be something that I'd send back an email and say, hey, did you mean to have this date, or is it a different date type stuff? So that's one of the things that would catch, hopefully. Doesn't always happen, but sometimes it gets through it.
If you copy and paste things into the questions,
Yep.
and it's red, it means you have 7,500 characters and you need to reduce it to 3,500. And when it turns black again, that means it's the right amount.
So yeah, I can do that real quick since I've got the other one opened. There.
Because you're given that many characters, you don't have to use them all though.
So you can copy and paste into your application. So if you wanted to or have in the past already put a Word document together, you can copy and paste your answers into that. And as you can see here, it does have a count. So what I copied and pasted in there is 3,473 characters. And just to give you an example of what that would look like if you go over, it turns red. So it's kind of a visual thing to it. So that'll hopefully help you understand where you're at on that. And then you can get back to exactly 3,500.
Or less.
Or less. Some people may prefer less, some may a little more.
I think I can speak for all my fellow board members when we say we like just the information as much as needed and not necessarily a verbose answer, because, say what you need to say.
Say what you need to say.
If you can do it in less than 3,500 characters, please do.
If you're going through this and you say, hey, where's that application manual? There is a hot link in the application itself that you can go out. And it'll take you out to the actual grant manual. And I believe we showed that. Did we show that on that page? Let's see here. So on the grants page, let's see, there should be right here, grant application manual. So that you can click on that and that'll take you to the same spot. So that's where you have access to that. Since we're on this, on here, whenever the board, updates or provides new information, I'll always do a yellow and red highlight for each of the pages of where those new changes are taking place or being captured. So this is kind of a nice little handbook for new organizations. If you want to know, it goes back over what's available, what kind of criteria there are, being a nonprofit, what you can use the funding for. Here's the link back to the webpage where you get the applications in case you lose that. So you can go back and forth. We do also provide a link in your application as well as on here for going to Travel Salem to promote your event. It's a free listing. You just provide them the information about your event, when it's going to take place, and they will go ahead and put it on their calendar for promotion that way. The board always reserves the right to alter any funding request. So mainly that's going to be the events. Again, here's those changes that were taking place. Here's that 25% requirement for spending on marketing and promotions. Quick little chart, you know, from 3,000 to 10,000, and then what 25% of that equates to. And really all we're asking for that is when you do your report to provide at least that level of invoices showing that you spent that much money. It doesn't have to say that you actually spent the TOT money for that, but as long as you're showing that you spent more, at least 25% of what the grant amount was, that helps us.
Can't spend the TOT money on it because we don't have it.
You don't have it yet, exactly, correct. Good point. Here's the recommended funding level based on attendance. So that's the same piece that you saw on the actual event grant application online. And then
Can I just ask a question about attendance? And I'm hoping I know the answer to this. I'm presuming that attendance means everyone involved, not just paid attendance. You know, there are volunteers, there are people who certainly come and may come from out of town and be part of the event, but they may not be paid. Is that?
we anticipate that the attendance is going to be the people that are actually coming to the event. I mean, yes, you can, technically count your volunteer staff and whoever staffing and helping put on the event.
Yeah.
That makes it a little bit easier to help boost your numbers. I don't know that it's going to really boost your numbers more than what, 10, 15, 20 people.
Right, it's not much, but
Not much.
but it might get us over the top of it.
In the case of a choir though, that would, a 150 person choir, that would significantly change
That
it.
would change, true.
Which I would recommend not doing then, because then when you look at, if you have that many more people and funding wise not making enough money, like,
Okay,
but I think also for your event, like Quiltopia is over multiple days, so it's like everyone's through the door during
yes,
that time period.
okay,
And only count your volunteers once.
Yeah, I would just,
If they're there.
I'd be cautious,
okay,
be aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because,
Yeah.
it might not go in your
Coming
benefit.
through the joy
like-
should be the primary,
well,
right?
we have people who are attending from, not from Salem, who.
You
might-
definitely want to capture those people, because we want to know how many people, I mean, ideally, does your event draw in from out of town, because that's really where the TOT funding comes from.
Well, and those, I mean, certainly the attendees, that are just coming to the show, but it's really like the guilds, the
Right,
quilt guild
right.
coming from out of town.
Yeah, I would definitely, for something like your event, I would definitely make sure that it's noted in the application about, it does bring in this many vendors who are coming from out of town, who potentially are staying in hotels and contributing,
Yeah.
in
okay.
that way. And that, I mean, they're not attending the event, but they're also potentially, paying to be there as a vendor.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, for sure. include
Absolutely.
them that way.
Yeah, so that just wanna make.
Yeah,
Great question.
no, that is really
Great question,
good, because it is something we hadn't
Considered.
looked at in a different way,
Yeah.
but there are a lot of different people involved.
But I get the 150 choir.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 150 requirement, like, wait a second, oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because then that would just skew, and those people aren't paying to attend, then you're like, hey, we have really actually low
You could
numbers.
say
for
the same
attendance.
thing of the orchestra.
Yeah.
So when you say maybe people coming in from out of town to participate in your event, not go to it, but participate, the vendors, if they're coming in from Eugene or,
Yeah,
wherever, Iowa or.
yeah, right, and that's just it. I mean, vendors, because they are coming in from out of town and they are paying, like, spending time in
For
hotels
food.
and whatnot and buying food and the impact there. Yeah, I just think it's something, note in your application.
Yeah.
And, X number of vendors potentially, so many from out of town. Because it does make there is an impact there.
Another question, and part of this is for the narrative, I guess. I don't see anything on the application in terms of collaboration with, so do you make use of restaurants in the community, or, do you collaborate with other?
There is actually.
There is a question that kind of asks you for
Community partners, I think it
community
is.
partners. That's also on the reporting side of things too.
Yeah,
And the community partners would be anybody that you're dealing with in order to put on the event, like
Yeah,
our
like-
picture is in Salem.
yeah,
So that,
yeah. Other people services, and that, your event takes place at Willamette Heritage Center, so
Yeah,
you're a community
yeah.
partner. Just that you need vendors are coming in.
if we
Yeah,
have
local
from that
printer.
group,
Yep.
yeah, okay, great.
Continuing on down the grant manual. So here's the actual questions that are on the forms on the application online. So you can see those questions ahead of time if you download and print out this application, or the grant manual actually. There's little hints in there in red. Does this match your budget sheet? Do you have a balanced budget? Are the total revenues equal to or greater than your total expenses? There's the new change for 2 cost estimates for capital improvement projects. And then we get into the event grant. There's the new piece on adding your past attendance and any TOT grant awards that you received in the past for the event, for each event, depending on what you're reporting on. There's the questions on the project application, which are very similar to the event grant. There's also a few minor technical differences. You'll have to upload at the end a copy of your budget sheet as well as your IRS letter. So be sure you have a PDF version of that ready for when you get to the final page, and upload that to the application. The application won't let you submit it until you've actually uploaded something to that. If you're wondering about, if you're doing an event and you're wondering what type of other event measures there are aside from attendance is going to be the first one. And then you have to choose a second one, whatever that may be, whether that's increasing your gate receipts, increasing your number of donations received for the event, or number of community partners that you're working with, whatever the case may be. So there's a couple of examples that you can use. Then we have the examples for marketing and promotion expenses. This is a new page that was added in relation to that 25% usage of marketing. So allowable expenses are like advertising, media, marketing, newspaper, radio, tourism guides, digital social media ads, flyers and posters, the traditional stuff. And then some non-typical, things that aren't necessarily allowed. So like if you're, fundraising and selling t-shirts and mugs and stuff like that, that's it's not really marketing then, but so it's not going to be counted towards that. So it's just kind of frowned upon. Not that you can't, but you'd have to justify it. That is pretty much the extent of this. This is the scoring criteria, what the board looks at for reviewing and scoring. Basically, to receive a passing score, you have to have 18.75 out of 25 total points, which equates to about 70%. So you have to have a C or better. We've added for the board members a kind of a guideline, directional piece. This correlates what questions you're looking at for each category and how many points are going to be awarded for each of those sections with the coordinating questions. And this is really mainly for helping the board members when they do their scoring review, since we've now got four brand new board members and then 2 that have only gone through this for once before. So that was
But
added.
that doesn't necessarily correlate to question number.
So yes, actually it does. So,
It does.
It's listed in.
so it's listed in the middle section here. So organizational structure, question 8, where you provide your board list. Question 9, where you provide your mission statement, staffing on question 13, programs and services on questions 14 and 15, and question 17 for volunteers. All those things relate to your organizational structure, and there's 6 points associated with that. To get down into the nitty-gritty is when you get down into, here's your organizational, here's the 6 points, and then does the organization deliver quality programming and services? And it's worth 2 points. So the board member taking a look at these questions that are all relating to your organizational structure and determine whether that's what you provided in that write-up would equate to, in their opinion, being quality programming. So that's how that is shaped together.
That's very helpful for grant writers too. Thank you.
Yes, I imagine the plan. So that is very transparent here. So you get to see ahead of time how the board members should be looking at scoring and awarding points for your application. There was a question about, is the grant 40% or less of the total budget, 60% less of the total budget? So just that's kind of diversity of your funding source. I want you to know that the TOT isn't your only funding, or whether it's an event or whatever the case may be. We like to see organizations have as many streams of flow of revenue as possible, because that shows healthy organization and the ability to weather any economic impacts or storms that come, or at least be able to be flexible in that aspect. There are some bonus points that can be awarded, 1 point each, but it only helps you get up to the 25. It doesn't help you get over 25. For the board members, is the marketing expense a percentage of revenue over 10%? Is the marketing expense as a percentage of revenue over 10%? So that's just saying, okay, if for this event, what they're spending on their marketing, does that equate to 10% or more? So that's kind of slightly different than the 25% requirement of the TOT piece, but it's taking in consideration for the whole event, how much you're really spending on marketing. And obviously the more you spend on marketing, hopefully the more promotion there is, the more attendance there is. So the board is trying to promote that level of a higher level of marketing and getting the word out. So that equates to how they score or provide an extra point or two for those events. The next piece that we want to take a look at is, what is the budget sheet look like? So in the manual, we have an example of a blank budget. So when you fill it out, it's in an Excel spreadsheet. The links are all over the place. You'll find them pretty easy. You'll put in whatever your requested TOT dollar is. So if it was 5,000 for that disc golf tournament, you put 5,000 up here. If it's 8,000, then you put 8,000. You can change any of the pink stuff, line items, if it doesn't align with what you're doing. Like you say you're doing something different. Maybe it's, I don't know.
Page 23, 24, if anyone wants to.
Yeah, page 23 or 24 if you're looking online or if you're in person. So you can add lines and add information. So here, right after that is an example of one that's been completed. So we've got a TOT grant for 8,000, ticket sales for 5, partnerships and sponsors, we received 2,000, and community grants another 1,500, for a total of $16,500 is what you're actually going to anticipated receiving revenue-wise. In-kind items are those in-kind things that you don't actually receive cash payment or transactional piece, but they're like volunteer services, or they provide a discount and don't charge you for it. So then if you want to record it, this would be where you would record that. And you'd record the revenue side and a matching piece for the expense side. So that way they zero out each other. We moved the piece for marketing. So this would be all of your marketing. all your marketing and promotion pieces would be recorded here. So 25% of the TOT grant of 8,000 is 2,000 for marketing. There's a automatic calculation, so that says, okay, you request $8,000, then you of your TOT, this is how much you award, and this is how much you're spending on marketing. So it does equal 25%. And then here's where that other marketing question comes in. Are you spending more than 10%? So for the board members, they can automatically see this. Oh, okay, it's above 10%, 3 points, type thing. And yet they're still spending the same dollar amount, but you're getting points for both sides. So that's how that's functioning. And like I said, you can change any of the titles in here to whatever fits for what you're spending on your events. If there's administrative, cleanup, logistics, apparel, utilities, rentals, those kind of things. Anything that you would normally spend on your putting on the event that goes into putting on the event can be captured here. Again, your in-kind 2,950 revenue should match 2,950 for expenses on the in-kind side. And then that's how the budget is built together. And you can refer back to this, and you actually have to upload your completed piece in the application at the end.
Is when you submit and get the email back with the copy, is the budget sheet included?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great.
So the question was for those online, here's the application that was submitted, completed. And they were asking, is the budget sheet on here? And yes, the answer at the very end is, here's where you provided and uploaded the sheet. And so then we'd click on that and it would take us to your budget sheet that you provided.
Great.
As well as your IRS letter. So all of that is provided. All right. Are there any questions at this time? I'm gonna open it up to see if anybody online has any questions. There's a one hand raised. I can't see who it is. Oh, maybe not. Okay, maybe that's mine. I don't know. All right. Well, if there's no, yes, go ahead.
Sorry. So we are all volunteer. There's no paid staff. And so on the in-kind side, if we've got a volunteer who is totally responsible for social media posts or website, how would that come in? Is that an in-kind contribution, or that's just the way we choose to operate? Because it seems somebody is spending time on it. They're just not
being paid for it.
We're not being paid for it, exactly.
But you do have a cost associated with putting the content out there, whether that's paying for clicks or whatever, that kind of stuff. I don't know.
Volunteer hours.
Volunteer hours.
Volunteer hours.
And then
Evaluate a volunteer. I mean,
yeah. Or, I mean, with that, I'd probably calculate it as volunteer hours.
Okay.
And then listed in kind as, I mean, it could go under personnel costs, or, I mean, if it's someone overseeing social media and website.
Yeah.
Technically that would be in kind with marketing. Some of these things are like, it could fit in multiple categories, because it's the volunteer hours, it's in-kind personnel, it's in-kind marketing.
And so, but on this sheet, so you could put social media volunteer hours. And is the in-kind column a dollar figure or hours? Can you put?
It's a dollar figure.
Dollar figure.
So you would figure minimum wage, or is that how you want it?
It's up to the organization how you want it. It's because it's in kind. There's no actual exchange of dollars. But if you wanted to provide a value to that, or recognize a value to that, there are online.
There is actually a federal number that volunteer hours are worth. So you could use that. I think the big thing is outlining in your application when you say, oh, we have X number of volunteer hours calculated at, I know we've had in the past had some applicants, and you can tell, put their volunteer hours at the federal number, some put them at minimum wage, which sometimes I'm all like, wow, that's like really low because,
We can do that.
yeah, I'm like.
Well, some people don't realize that there's.
Yes,
actual number.
yeah.
You look up.
Yeah,
online.
so
Yeah.
my
We
recommendation
use
is
that number.
just to make sure that whatever number you're using, you let us know, like it's
Okay.
in your
You
application,
can type
so
it,
it says.
so you can type it into the section like where the table and chairs are, you can put volunteer hours at $22 an hour.
Okay,
Something like that.
the reason we just spent a whole lot of time on that piece without a dollar figure, and so I just wanted to make sure. And
And
there's
there's-
marketing and promotion.
Yeah, there's also in the narrative, there is a spot where like you put your in-kind items, so you can put a little explanation of like, oh, so many hours volunteer
Okay,
and that.
thank you.
Are there any other questions online, folks? Carly, are you the only board member that's here today?
Looks like it.
Looks like it. Huh?
I trust that my fellow board
Did I
members
miss
were there on
anything?
Tuesday.
We had a good turnout of board.
Yeah, we had board members on.
Good.
We had 5 on
Oh,
Tuesday.
nice. I love that. No, I think,
Anything
I
you think
mean,
of that we might have missed?
I think we covered things and I appreciate your questions.
Yes,
Because they're
much
good.
so.
They're good for your fellow applicants, and I also think it's good because for us to be thinking about them, board members, so that we can keep making the application better for the applicants, easier for everyone. I joke that I want to make this application the one that people look forward to completing. I don't know. One day I'll get there. Yeah.
I knew that what you showed seems really workable, and you kind of have the links that are appropriate to keep us on track, and so I'm kind of looking forward to building that.
Yeah. Success.
Great.
We really will answer your questions if it's ahead of the November deadline.
Yeah.
Yeah, feel free
I mean-
to reach out to me. Got my email and my phone number there.
And especially a case of, getting your application, don't wait to the last minute, get your application in, because it will, like Chris will review, and if something is missing, it would just be terrible for you to put your application at the last minute and it be missing something and be disqualified because it doesn't have that piece. So let's try and avoid that.
Let's see, I think the only piece that I'd probably add to that to wrap that up is also because we do, after the board has finalized their scores and review process and recommendations in April, May timeframe, the board will typically ask all the applicants, do a survey of the applicants to find out how did you think the application process went and any recommendation you may have come across that could improve the process. So we've been doing that for the last 3 or 4 years now. I think 4 or 5 years now, probably. My, how time flies. But yeah, we do try to improve the process as much as possible.
Yeah. So we listen. It's a conversation.
Great. Well, if there's no other questions or comments or events coming up soon that you want to make a quick last minute announcement to, we'll adjourn and look forward to seeing all your applications. Hopefully everybody has the link that Kelly put into the chat so that you guys have access. The forms are available online now, so submit at your pleasure.
Thank
Thanks, everyone.
Chris.
Well, thank you guys
Thank you, Chris.
for all
Thanks,
your
Phyllis.
work. Thank you.
I recognize all those names and or organizations.
Yep. So. I think we got everybody too. We were getting a little concerned that some of the facility operators wouldn't be there.